What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Hornet's Nest Disc Golf Course in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have the stable trail. We have the yellow one, pink one is over there on the bench. We are pairing it up against the trace. Now, as far as their slower distance drivers go, this is kind of the crave versus servo comparison. However, I prefer the crave over the servo for two reasons. One, in the fairway slot, I want something to go as straight as possible. I don't want it to have as much finish. And the crave is Axiom, which gives it a colored rim. The MVP servo is great, but it has a black rim, which is very difficult to see on camera. Even if you have the brightest flight plate you can find, the black rim still is very difficult. Whereas Streamline, this is more the crave, this is more the servo. Let's see how these two pair up against each other in this distance driver decisions video. We're going to start off on hole number one. Let's see how far we can push down this fairway. I'm going to go trace and then trail, trace and trail. And then, yeah, let's just see how these pair up against each other. Okay, that was pretty decent. Okay, looks like Trace takes the first because grip locks, and I have more consistent release over Proton, which is one of the reasons I'm looking at this. If I could find some Proton trails, maybe we'd have something, but currently I think the Trace is the best alternative I can find. So let's keep pairing them up and see how they fare on some more open holes. Let's go to some more open holes. The Trace took the point on the last hole. This is the tee pad for hole number 4. We're gonna go forehand, just flip up forehand. I've been having a lot of good success flipping up the trace on a forehand, which is great for this shot, not great for what I was trying to do with it. So we are gonna try both of these, just flip up the forehand and get around to the right. Finally looked up the distance. This hole is about 330. It's into a headwind though, so this is gonna be about distance max, I think, for these two discs on a forehand. And now we're gonna go with a maple trail. But that's definitely more kind of servo crave. It's really interesting that instead of going Axiom Streamline or Axiom MVP, they went MVP and Streamline this time. Really interesting pairing up, and I don't know if anyone else has thought about these two discs the same way, but that's because probably everyone thinks that the trail is 10 speed, but feels like the same size rim. So the Trace caught up on the very back top edge of the hill, just barely trickled OB. The maple trail was about 75 feet long. So where does that leave us? I think just based off of, they have a very similar wing shape, but because almost every trail is going to have uncharacteristic amounts of dome for MVP, I think the one-off is actually this trail, because this trail doesn't have quite the aggressive amount of dome. It's a little bit flatter, so this trail is probably going to fly more similar to the traces based off of dome and distance. So this trail probably will end up going further. So for certain holes and certain courses, I think that this will be the play. But as a general, what am I going to lean on for just punching out 380, 390? I've never felt a trace that didn't feel identical, but the trails have a tendency to have varying parting lines and widely different flights. So for now, I think we're going to try out the trace in the stable trail slot. We're on hole number 5 here. It's a par 4, 514. We're just going to punch it out there. It's into a headwind, and there's wind. It's kind of a head cross coming off the left side. So let's see what we can get. We're going to go the pink trace, and then we're going to go the yellow trail. It's going to be able to show you what I've been able to find with the trace is that if I control and come over on the nose enough into a headwind, I'll still get a trail-like flight. That flipped up and turned over a little bit before it flexed back. Let's see what we get with this yellow one. A little bit lower, but same thing, just didn't have the height to fully fade back. But that yellow trail flies very similar to the trace. So trace still, that's 3 unanswered so far. Here though, we have a chance to see the trail take a point because we're using this trail that has more dome than either of the traces. So this hole number 6, first time I've ever seen the basket in the actual long pin position. So it changed from 320 to 453. Don't really have a chance to get there, especially not into the headwind. This will be true max distance, which of these can go further down this fairway and still not go OB. Trace though, still with the box. Let's see if the trace or the trail wins out in just a true pure distance comp. It's gonna be a little short left. I'm gonna definitely get more flip out of this trail. Question is, do I get too much flip and does it go into the street? That is going to be questionable. I don't know which of those actually went further, so we're going to have to go look. But I don't know what's going on right now. I'm actually getting good clean releases off the trace, and I'm just not getting any air with the trail. Again, this is one of those where maybe you should just throw the disc that you throw better, Brooke. Stop trying to force the trail in when it's not performing. Throw the disc that is performing. All right, we're gonna go throw a couple more drives, a couple more matchups, and I'll let you know on the next tee if the trail finally got its first point. All right, Trace. Yeah, Trace takes another point. This hole though, left is OB, so overturned actually means over safe. Let's see what we can get here. Pink versus yellow again. This matchup kind of makes me think of strawberry lemonade. There's the turn I want it. And it stayed safe. That's going to be hard to beat, but we have a trail. So does driver make the trail go further than the trace? You have to throw this really well. Finally got some air under it, and now I didn't let it turn. Okay, good tree. But trace, 5 unanswered. I don't know what to say. The trail, okay, I will say this. While for most people the trail is going to be their max distance driver, very similar to how the Crave is going to go so far and actually be a little bit better for most people than the servo, Some people are going to lean on the servo. Some people are going to lean on the trace instead of leaning on the trail. For me, I think I'm going to lean on the trace more for the reason that it's Proton. And I just have more consistency and more confidence with Proton. I really do like the way the trail flies. But I think unless I'm playing specific courses, and by specific courses I mean courses that are very wide open, that have really long downhill holes, where I think I'll be able to control the trail a little bit more on a straight line. Unless I'm playing those holes or those courses, I think I just throw the trace just a little bit better because I'm used to throwing a little bit more stable things. 5-0. Unfortunate for the trail for sure. The trail's still a great disc. I just throw slightly more stable distance drivers slightly better. We're moved up to hole number 18. We're just gonna throw the tee shot 4 different times, and the 2 closest get points. Let's see if the trail can finally clutch up and get at least one on the trace. But trace is just amazing, and I'm gonna love throwing the trace. And I think for me, it's gonna be the Proton plastic. I think it's just, I've been noticing recently that something about Proton or C-Line or Champion, I just grip it so much better than every other type of plastic. So I'm gonna stick with the Proton here for at least a little while longer. And this hole's 486. Don't really have a chance of throwing that far. Want to see if I can make it to the ditch. Oh, made it across the ditch, yay. Oh no, well, trail's gonna get a point unless I hit those trees. Oh no. You better get lucky. Got lucky. Wow. It's on the stable side, but not the most stable trail. This one has a lot of good stability and a lot of good distance. But like I said, it's not Proton. All right, the bright pink trail and the bright pink trace both taking points on the last hole, making them 6 and 1. Unfortunately, the trail did not perform better, but as I'm learning what I throw best, I need to stick to what I throw better and not what gets the views and not what gets the likes, but what personally flies best for me. And right now, I'm throwing the trace really well. Hopefully you enjoy content like this. If so, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff, make sure to comment all that down below. Please make sure to subscribe, especially if you want to see me throw traces for a couple more months. Until next time, see you out on the course.